I'm coming out. I want the world to know. I'm gonna let it show. Ba-na-na, da-na-na. I don't know the rest of these lyrics, but that's okay because we can just DJ remix. I didn't even have a song ready. That was the part in the DJ set where it's like, and then all the kids just have seizures and overdose on ecstasy, or whatever you cool cats and kittens do out there. I've never been to a place like that. Like these EDM concerts, I see them and it looks dehydrating. It looks dehydrating to be a 21-year-old kid at like one of these Coachella EDM festivals or something. Like, it just looks so hot. It looks miserable. I would have to bring so much water. That's how I'm just not meant for that life. That whole EDM sweating all over the place. Like, I'm not about that. Okay, you're in close proximity and it's just it's way too much. I hear stories of people, like a lot of times when people die on Molly and all that shit, a lot of it is because they get dehydrated. How crazy is that? They're like, what's the cause of death? Water, or lack of water. Yeah, that just doesn't seem. I'm like a creature of comfort. I notice that as I get older, you got to take a shot for every time I say as I get older on this podcast. This should be called the As I Get Older podcast. That's the thing, is the name's not going to age well. Okay, there's not going to be a point, and obviously I'm going to get to that point. I like to contradict myself, but like, it's hard to like push this. Like one day I'm going to have presidential candidates on this podcast. I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to be the greatest podcast there ever was. I'm gonna be number one, and it's just gonna be hard getting people on a podcast when they're like, yeah, we got this podcast with these ratings and all of that, and the guy's like, oh wow, yeah, I'd love to do that. What's the name? 7 Minutes in Evan. And they're like, wait, what? 7 Minutes in Evan. What does that mean? 7 minutes in Evan. You gotta get inside him, because that's what it means if you just take it literally. 7 minutes inside of Evan. But I respect anybody who wants to come on that. Pause. I didn't mean. Anyway, fuck. Moving on. This is a Monday morning podcast, Let the beat drop. I always like that, though, in the club. I do respect those DJs, though. The ones that just are like, I am your doctor. That shit's tight. And then they like remix some shit that like they don't go together. That's my favorite shit. I'm a contrarian, is what I've realized. I like when you take things that are completely opposite and you can mesh that shit together. One of my favorite things, I don't know if this has been done yet, but early on, I always loved cinema, and I always thought it would be so dope to have, it has to have been done by now, but when I was younger, this was like my first movie idea of like, not even a movie, it was just a scene in a movie. I wanted there to be a gangster shootout with like Goodfellas style, where they're just shooting everything up and it's like a drive-by and everybody's on the sidewalk and it's like poof, 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 gat guns, everything, a nice desaturated film. We were going to pull that saturation down to like 87%, get some cool tones in there. Poof, poof, poof. Going through Brooklyn, early cobblestones, and while people are getting killed and falling on the sidewalk and just throwing cannolis up in the air and shit in slow motion, it's just, I see trees of bloom, red roses too, and I say to myself, as like the lead character who didn't expect to die but dies at the end, because #contrarian, it has the end as he's like, the blood's pouring out of him, setting him up for that sequel where his son comes to avenge him, and he's laying on the sidewalk, blood starting to fall off the sidewalk, going to the drain. As the blood starts going into the drain, it just, and I think to myself, What a wonderful world. Slow fade to black. Boom. Credits, not a dry eye in the house, you know? But yeah, I like shit. Going back to my DJ thing, hashtag Peter Rabbit, going down the rabbit hole. I like shit that doesn't match up. It shouldn't go together, but it works. Like the song I was singing, I'm coming out. I want the world to. And then you just like switch it up. You're like, I want the world to everybody. Shot, 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 shot. Yeah, dope shit. Dope shit. I'm not made for those EDM festivals though. Getting back to that, sweaty. I gotta take my multivitamins. I'm not built for it. Listen. And maybe I'm just not built for it anymore. Because I think back in college, there was times I was like sleeping in people. Like I'd go to house parties. I was a goddamn heathen in college. I'd go to house parties, friends parties, whatever it was. And a lot of times you end up sleeping there, you know. And I would be like sleeping in somebody's parents' house in their laundry room on the floor, trying to use like Tide Pods as a fucking pillow, you know. I'm like using an old cardboard box as a blanket, you know, just roughing it. Dude, my neck hurt so bad in college. I think that's why I have issues now, is because I just fucked up my body so bad in college. Just all those nights where you're just trying to live, you know. There's times I'd be sleeping in like jeans because I took off my shirt to try to make a pillow as I slept on cold tile. Not built for it, you know. Plus those like EDM like festivals and stuff. I didn't even really like club scenes. Like I loved it in Puerto Rico, but even then, like I used to roll deep in Puerto Rico. That was the dopest thing. My college experience was so much better than yours. Our entire class would just go to the club together. All of us. We'd be like 40 people in the club. And listen, I don't know if you know about nursing school. I put up with a lot of Fokker jokes and male nurse jokes. But here's the thing. It's like 95% female. Okay. It's like someone trying to make fun of a dude for joining a yoga class. Oh, I'm sorry I'm fishing with dynamite, pussy. Yeah, go join your frat house. Okay. Having your fucking sausage fest weekend. I don't give a shit. I'm going to learn how to fucking condition hair over the weekend. I don't give a shit. But that made the club fun. But if it was like ever on those off nights where it was just me and the boys going to the club on the hunt, you know, we're just going hunting. We got like our predator eyes going. It's a weird environment going to the club like that. Girls, they don't trust you, and they shouldn't. Like that's the weird thing about clubs, is the interaction is solely based on completely superficial stuff. Girls never look at guys in the club and they're never like, hey, I bet he's a good guy. They're just like, hey, I kind of like his hair thing and his peacock shirt, and I'll let him rub his jean cock on me for a while, you know? That's all it is. No one dances like this in the club. You go to a Puerto Rican club, no, you are baby making with clothes on. You're just, but there's no DJ going, everybody. Sorry, everybody whose ear I just blew out with that. But I had to let the beat drop, you know? I don't know, that's the only beat drop sound I can make. Yeah, taking all the sweaty drugs. Oh, I never was into those drugs. Your boy messes with the devil's lettuce and some Coke and rum, some Cuba Libres, you know. I don't give a shit about that. I be in the club drinking my Cuba Libres, some tequila, some Patron shots, get me loosey-goosey. Yeah, but never like Molly or ecstasy or anything like that. I would see people on Coke and Molly in the club, and it was like some of the people I would party with, they would do it. And when they were on Coke, it was like someone churned a great white into a human, because you look into their eyes and they're like gone. If they're on like cocaine and they're drunk, that is not your friend anymore. That is like a weird werewolf that you just can turn on you at any second, and they're probably gonna rob somebody. Like I remember trying to talk to people and be like, dude, are you even in there anymore? Like, why are you trying to steal right now? People do some crazy shit, breaking car windows. I'm like, dude, get it together, okay? People be wilding on them drugs, wilding. But I don't regret anything. That's the thing about life, is you can't have regrets. You got to live your truth, and you can't live with regrets. You know, that's why I've decided, I'm announcing it here. I've hinted at it that we were going to be moving the podcast dates. Monday mornings, that's when the new podcast comes out. Obviously, we're going to hit this one about noon on Monday. I need to get better at recording it first thing in the morning, but your boy had to make some orders for his video business and talk to some clients. Yeah, hashtag real professional. Hashtag they ever heard this podcast, they'd be like, that's not the same guy, you know, living a lie. And I need to start living my truth. But yeah, I'm done lying, and I'm done saying it's Tuesday when it's not Tuesday when I record the podcast. So now what I'm going to start doing is I'm just going to put the podcast out on Monday and Wednesdays when I finish it. So that way, as soon as I record it, it comes out same day. So you get updates on things. So it's not like I'm talking about yesterday's shit, you know, and then having to tell you, welcome to Tuesday. It's not fucking Tuesday. It's never been Tuesday when I record this shit. Okay. Maybe once, but not anymore. And I'm tired of lying to you guys about it. Okay. From here on out, I give you guys the truth. And I want to start putting out more video stuff. Okay, we've been pretty silent on social media. I needed to detox. I needed to work through some shit. The stuff that I don't really talk about is my personal life on a personal level of when I'm dealing with things. But I just needed to get away. I was a bit overwhelmed. I don't feel like posting during all of this. People were trying to guilt me and get me to post shit, and I'm like, I just don't operate like that. You want me to do something, do not tell me to do something. That's just, I'm sorry, hashtag rebel. But I needed time to like process a lot of stuff and figure out what I really feel about things. Because, dude, I can change the way I feel about things real quick. I need time to marinate. Maybe other people are different and they're gifted with the ability to make rational decisions on the fly. Not your boy, okay? When it comes to huge humanitarian issues and, our, society, I need more time to process. Speaking of that, Dave Chappelle dropped a special, and I'm so happy that he said some things in it that certified my belief on it, is that this, he didn't like this whole silence is violence thing either. He was straight up saying, like, don't take my silence of me, like I have to take action. And he said, like, people wanting celebrities to use their platform. Dave Chappelle was like, who the fuck cares what Ja Rule is thinking? I don't know if you've seen that famous Ja Rule bit when he's just saying that, I forgot what catastrophe happened. It was some earthquake or something happened, and he said, we have correspondent to talk to Ja Rule right now. Like, no one has ever been like, man, I wonder what Ja Rule thinks about all this. No one gives a fuck what celebrities think about this. And if you are, you're special, okay? You're not very bright. Especially celebrities who are just playing pretend. I feel like it's so, like, they're so detached. Like, I don't like when Gail Godet was doing the Imagine video. That shit was so cringy. And then you have what's the recent one? There's one I saw where it was like, I take responsibility. Never again when someone makes a joke will I just laugh and let it go. Listen, I don't want to get political. I don't want to get, I've been staying away from posting stuff because I don't want to add to the toxic level, and I don't want to have to deal with more friction regarding it and what I think about things. What were we talking about? there's so much weird stuff, and as someone who considers themselves an artist, with air quotes on how corny it is to refer to yourself as an artist, I really believe in the freedom of speech. I really do, and that freedom is in all directions. If people support my opinions, and if people don't support my opinions. And it's weird when you start getting a super sensitive group of people who report everything as bullying. I got reporting for vegans. Now, how silly does that sound, thinking about the climate we have now, for vegans to report me because I made fun of them? But it's insane to think that we believe, like, there's just so much hypocrisy, I think, when it comes to social media, which is why I haven't been wanting to really be a part of it, because I'm like, there's so much hypocrisy, and it's so much people fueling their own narrative and their own perspective and belief on issues. And I'm like, I support everybody in their belief to say whatever they want to say or do whatever they want to do. I support 100% peaceful protests. Do I think that there's police brutality and everything like that? Yeah, I've said it a million times. I support people's right to peacefully protest, even with shit I don't agree with, because that's their right. Those are our laws. And if they protest within those guidelines of what we deem as a peaceful protest, have at it. Do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want in your life as long as it doesn't hurt other people, okay? And I do think it's important when you have issues, people do rise up, and they do hashtag do what they believe is the right thing to do. I do believe that 100%. And I support it as a red-blooded American. And more important, I support it as a human being, okay? I think everybody needs to live their truth and not try to impose their own beliefs on other people. I think that's what does make this country great, okay? We can look at what everybody thinks the history of this country is. The idea of what the United States of America is supposed to do, or supposed to be, its principles, is a free country where you have the right to be whoever you want to be. That's a beautiful thing that not everybody in this world has. Has it gotten silly? Like, we're not going to pretend like the furry community doesn't get a little weird? Sorry, Corona. That's the other thing, is people have just forgot about fucking Corona. Like, the cure for Corona was protests? Might be genius. It might be genius. Just standing up to it. Just, no, I'm not going to let you get me sick. But I really do feel like this is a free country. And you can be, and you should be entitled to being whatever you want to be. That's what I think. I just keep saying be over and over again. When people, I think, there's a few of these cases that you've looked at. And I've reeled back what I feel about protests. And, I don't think protests and riots are connected. I didn't ever think that. I didn't like in the beginning that they were getting lumped in together. And obviously I support peaceful protests, but I don't support rioting and looting, because I have friends who have lost their business that don't have insurance, and they had to get funded by, they're not getting bailed out by the government. They're getting bailed out by the people, by their community that has to, fix this. And I think it even hurts the protest when you do have rioting and looting attached to it. And you can even see there's videos of people peacefully protesting, telling people to stop rioting, stop looting. You guys are hurting us. So, and I do think change is coming. And there's been some very good ideas starting to come out of it. Sometimes I forget about what my process is for achieving things and for ideas, in that sometimes you just got to take the steps of action and the plan formulates. Sometimes when I'm sitting down to record music or write jokes, it starts with an idea, just a premise of just, Like I'll kind of get to like somewhere near the end of the punchline, and it's like, okay, this is funny somehow. There's something in here. But at that starting point, I just have to take action, and then it starts formulating, and then I get this bit out of it, a stand-up bit. And then from there, it turns into this whole story and this whole big bit. And then all of a sudden, it spurs off in a different direction. And now I've abandoned that initial bit and idea for a completely different bit that grew from that. And sometimes I think I look at it with protests. Sometimes I'm like, okay, well, what protest is actually, what is it doing? What is, what's the next step? And, it looks like there are steps that are being taken. There are at least ideas being discussed, which is great. I think it's great that something good can come from protesting. I think sometimes you can't, just like you can't generalize cops and you can't generalize people based on their ideas or, their race or a group of people, religious group, whatever. There's bad people in everything. I don't know if you guys know that. If you are a real human being, you know that. But I think you also can't group protests all together, especially when they become two different things. You can't even judge one protest based on a city off the next city on what effectiveness is going on. Someone put an idea that I thought was pretty cool, was the training for cops, making it like a 4-year program. It's crazy. Someone put a statistic that you have to go 8 years to school to be able to practice law. If you want to be a lawyer, 8 years of school. But it only takes like 6 months to become someone who enforces the law. It's a pretty crazy thing. I don't think defund the police. I think that's a terrible name for it when you actually break down what the idea is behind it. And I think a lot of people have different meanings behind it. But I think the opposite. I think you have to get better trained people, just like with teachers. I think cutting teacher salaries, one of the most important jobs in the world, literally shaping the minds of the youth. The next generation. It's a terrible investment. Like if you looked at an investment table and you were like, yeah, let's cut all the funding to the people who are going to take care of us when we get older, the next generation to keep this going. Yeah, we shouldn't put that much investment into them, but we should do this and keep paying all our politicians all this money. I think there needs to be some regulation on, listen, here's my idea. This is my ideas for the protests and what I think needs to change in the United States. Keep in mind, I'm an idiot, but moving on. I think we need to investigate while we're going over police brutality, investigating all these police departments and all this brutality. We need to start looking at doctors, the whole healthcare system. I don't know if you know that. 15,000 people died in 2018 from opioid overdose. Okay? 15,000, 41 people a day. It's insane. That's only on opioids. We're not talking about people on antidepressants. We're not talking on people on muscle relaxers, just opioid. There are so many complications that come from taking prescription pills and the overprescribing done by doctors. It's insane. I think we need reform on the entire health system. We need to focus on starting to heal people and not make it this huge incentive to make money when you prescribe pills and, all these surgeries and things. You basically turn people into lifelong customers. That's literally what it is. Like instead of making prescriptions, you're literally turning them into subscriptions. Like, oh, this is a monthly thing, It's insanity. And it needs to change. We would have so much more funding available if we defunded the healthcare system. In that sense, I still think emergency, life-threatening situations need all the funding, the emergency room and everything like that. But when it starts going into fixing actual issues rather than constantly putting a Band-Aid on symptoms. And there's a counter argument to that people aren't going to take self-accountability. And a lot of people just want a pill. But you know what? Fuck them. They're going to get more independent. I think on top of that, the schooling system. we need to invest more money into teachers and to the police department to get people who are actually qualified and make it a job that is respected. Dude, no one respects grade level teachers and high school teachers the way that they should. Okay? Think about how many kids are going through their program and they don't get paid enough to be able to properly teach the kids. Why would I think about it as a rational person. This is someone who owns their own business. You get what you pay for. If someone has a budget of $5,000 for a video, they're going to get all the bells and whistles. Okay? If they have no arguments with my budget and the estimate and what it's going to cost them to get a certain video, I'm going to put my blood, sweat, and tears into that video and make sure you get what you need and what that video is worth. Now, if someone comes to me and they're like, hey, I have only $600 and I need this for that, and is there any way and my neighbor's kid could do it? But dude, that's my biggest pet peeve is when people come to me for a video and then they're like, well, my neighbor's kid said he can do it for $200. Go get your fucking neighbor's kid. Okay, pay him $200. And then come to me in a month when you realize that fucktard didn't know what he was doing and you need an actual video. And then I'm going to charge you double. That's the way it works. But if someone tells me they have a budget of $600, I'm like, okay, well, you're not going to get me to invest all these hours into it, all these ideas, and use my fucking magic juice just to get you this video that when it comes down, I'm doing basically $10 an hour with the amount of mental energy I've put into this shit. No, you're going to get what you pay for. Why would we ever expect teachers to go above and beyond when they're not getting paid for all the time they invest, the amount of hours they spend grading homework, coming up with new ideas? Make it a job where people are like, you know what? I want to do that. I want to give back. And shout out to the teachers who have dedicated themselves and everything to these kids when they don't get the pay they deserve or the respect. I think there's got to be an overhaul of gutting the system. It sounds crazy and a lot of people aren't going to want to do it. And a lot of people think when they look at the government and they think that you can't change it. But the thing is a lot of people, that's why people get stuck in this Republican Democrat mindset, is that they think it's one or the other. And this is just, the lesser of two evils. When you start hearing that argument, you can refuse to play that game. Votes for some third party. It doesn't have to be one of these two candidates, because guess what? It might not happen overnight, but eventually it's going to change. That's why I think when you look at racism and all these issues, I hate saying this because it sounds so dry and it acts like I don't care. Statistically, race relations have not been better. When you start looking at numbers of things, you start seeing there's a decline in it. I saw a video of Morgan Freeman and Denzel Washington talking about racial inequality. And Morgan Freeman had an interesting take on it, that he was like, stop talking about it and inequality goes away. Stop constantly making it an issue and being so divided with it and it goes away. I think when you treat people good, I think people make their bias on personal experience. And when you start treating people good, people start treating you good and they start developing a new kind of relationship. I think you have to just try to be a good person. That's how you contribute to change. That's how you contribute to making a better world, is by starting at home. It's so cliche that to say something like, if you want to change the world, start at home. But it's so true. When you treat people better, you treat people like equals, not tell them they're equals and then make them feel weird. Like, that's the thing. I want to make this announcement that if you have any funny Puerto Rican jokes, you can make them. Just make them funny because they're jokes. But if I feel like people can't make jokes to me or treat me as an equal, it gets real weird. It gets real tense. And people are in such a weird, tense place where they feel like they can't joke around. Getting back to my initial thought that I was starting to go down in the beginning of this. I don't even know if I mentioned this idea. But comedy is going to be such a weird place. And when we start not being able to discuss things and we start making everything so tense and so race related, excuse me, it starts being dividing us more. I think there's a lot of us versus them mentality going on right now. Politically, it's insane. I hate when people start saying, yeah, but these Republicans, they just, if you support Trump, then you support racism. And then it's like, oh, these Democrats, every city in this country that has problem, it's the Democratic cities, blah, blah, blah. And everybody, instead of trying to figure out, like, you can't just blanket everything like that. There's Republicans that like Trump for his financial laws, and there's people who like him because they're disillusioned. It doesn't mean they're bad people. There's people that actually think he's for the everyday working man. Is it a lie? Probably. But there's people, you can't label people a certain way. Are there liberals that don't believe everything, in the real world? Yeah, there are. The thing is that it's both sides. There's good and bad people in both sides. And I think we need to stop labeling people with, I sound like such a hippie. I've been living in Ventura for like too long now. What I mean is labeling people when there's so many variables involved. Listen, I don't give a shit what political party you are, what nationality you are, what color you are. The only thing I care about is if you eat boneless wings. That's all I care about. If you eat boneless wings, can't be my friend, pal. Hey, pal, can't be my friend. But really, I just care, are you a good person? Do you work hard? Are you adding to society in some way? Well, that's all that matters. I don't want anybody to try to treat me different. And the thing is that I get upset, and it gets more annoying than anything when you start seeing people argue over the semantics of phrases. When you start seeing this whole all lives matter versus Black Lives Matter argument is the weirdest shit ever. I'm like, you guys know you're just arguing over chanting a phrase, saying 2 words. Or 3 words, sorry. Saying 3 words, and it's funny, is that there's only 1 word in it that's different. All versus black. And what you're arguing is what the other person means when they say it. It's not what you mean when you say it. You're mad about what the other person means when they say it. Like, you're literally saying, dear all lives matter people. When you say this is what you're saying. But then you see the other side was like, dear Black Lives Matter people. When you're saying this is what you're saying. But it's like, no. Are we really that dumb as people to not be able to have variables and different meanings behind words? I just think it's so interesting that we're like wasting all our rocket fuel on these small little details that don't matter, rather than trying to figure out real ideas and ways that we can all understand each other. Because that's the truth. That's how we're going to wrap this up, Goombayah style. What people mean is what matters. How we treat each other is what matters. It's great. Listen, it's great to be in a relationship when everything's going good. And I mean that whether it's a sexual relationship, whether it's a family relationship, whether it's a friend relationship, no matter what it is, the challenging time doesn't come of how you should act and carry yourself in those moments where everything's good. I think it matters when there's a crisis, when there's a problem. Well, how are you guys when you have a fight? How are you in those moments? I don't give people a lot of leeway when it comes to, hey, I'm sorry what I said. I was just really angry and blah, blah, blah. You get a few of those. Okay, I'll give you a few of those. But after a little while, you have to learn how to be in those moments. And I think that's important with how you carry yourself in such a serious issue like racial wars and shit like that, different belief systems, is how are you going to be during those moments? Are you going to carry yourself with respect? You know, are you going to make sure that you understand that you're talking to someone with a complete different, unique belief system and experience than your own? And that's something that I tried to get better at, because sometimes you just think everybody means what you mean when you say something, because what you mean when you say it is the same as what they mean when they say it, when in reality, it can mean completely two different things and they might not even be realizing it. I think it comes down to being self-aware and also aware of other people's experiences and why they're doing things. A lot of times it's like a reflection of themselves. You know, when people get mad and they get weird, it's usually a reflection of what they're going through. Sometimes you got to cut those people out. And sometimes you just got to get out. Bars. I think that's it for today, ladies and gentlemen. That was a good one, huh? How do you guys feel about it? I give it a 10. 10 out of 10. And this is going to be live in 30 minutes. Could be sooner, but I'm just going to say 30, baby. And I'll see you on Wednesday. If you have any questions, any topics, feel free to submit them. And we'll talk about it, baby. And just know, no matter what, even if the race war happens and I just stand in the middle and see which side wins because I can, I still love you. You guys hear that weird voice outside? I don't know if you guys can hear it. This is like after credit shit right now, because I already did my kiss thing and I'm still here. This person walks their dog down the sidewalk every single day. They don't put their dog on a leash. When people don't do that, go fuck yourself. But here's the thing. The dog just runs away and they always go, Kirby, Kirby, come here. And they just yell at their dog. Hey, maybe put it on a leash and it won't run away. Hashtag, people so dumb. But still, I still love you, Kirby. And I'll see you in the next episode.